What's up, YouTubers? This is your boy Big Metro Fan 12 coming to you with another video game review, and this time I'm reviewing the game Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls, which was released on the Game Boy Advance by Nintendo and Square Enix. Now, this is a compilation of the Final Fantasy 1, which was originally released on the NES, and Final Fantasy 2, which was originally released on the Famicom. Now, the story of both games pretty much remain the same. In Final Fantasy 1, four warriors of light pretty much are on a mission to restore the crystals of light. And in Final Fantasy 2, Freon, Gaon, and Maria all are fighting against the Emperor of Palamika to prevent him from taking over the land. Now, Final Fantasy 1 does have 9 chapters where the warriors of light have to restore the fire crystal, the wind crystal, the earth crystal, and the water crystal. Now, when you start the game, the names of the warriors are preset, and they're really dependent on which classes you pick. And there's like 6 classes you can pick from: warrior, thief, monk, the red mage, white mage, and the black mage. And they all like evolve to the knight, ninja, master, uh, red wizard, white wizard, and black wizard. And this is all based on the leveling up system that is in Final Fantasy, and this is like a staple of all pretty much the RPG genre, the leveling up system. You can find that in pretty much the majority of RPGs and all that. You know what I'm saying? Now, through the course of the game, you pretty much travel to different towns, fight against different monsters and stuff like that. And you can also buy different things like weapons, armor, spells for the mages and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And the type of storage that you go to in terms of the mages, they'll show you if it's for a white mage, black mage, or red mage. And sometimes there are certain spells that both the red mage and black mage can do, you know what I'm saying? Now, one thing about it is that among the four people that you pick from the 6 classes, some say the best way to do that is to pick like a white mage, or red or black mage, a warrior, and a monk, or something in that range, and stuff like that, to get through, pretty much to get through the game. You know what I'm saying? As far as the enemy goes, you pretty much fight like different creatures like wolves, ogres, cobras, lizards, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's bosses at pretty much at the end of each chapter. You know, you got pretty much you have to learn the weaknesses of the bosses. You know what I'm saying? What works and what won't work. You know what I'm saying? For some like bosses, a certain spell would work, and with other bosses, a certain like weapon would work. So you got to, there's gonna be some trial and error. You know what I'm saying, with the creatures in Final Fantasy 1. Now with Final Fantasy 2, um, the leveling up system has been replaced with some system where you're pretty much awarded depending on what stat you use, whether it's like weapons, magic, or something to that effect. You know what I'm saying? So it's very different from the leveling up system that's pretty much a staple of RPGs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Now the Final Fantasy 2 pretty much does have like 8 chapters. You know what I'm saying? In the game. You know what I'm saying? And you have to like travel to different towns, you know, fight monsters, buy armor, weapons, matches, pretty much like the first Final Fantasy game and all that. And you pretty much fight different creatures and stuff like ghouls, goblins, shadows, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Of course, then there's the bosses. It's pretty similar to the first Final Fantasy game. You gotta know what works and what won't work against the bosses. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls, and you can apply this to other RPG games, is that you're not gonna play this game for like 30 minutes to an hour, then you're done after you beat it. You're pretty much going to play this game, each game for like at least 4 hours each, you know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to put like a lot of time into this compilation game because of how long both games are, you know what I'm saying? Plus, Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls has a bestiary um, in the game. It's pretty much like a directory of different monsters and creatures and bosses that you encounter in both games, you know what I'm saying? You have like all the enemies, each enemy's stats, you know what I'm saying, what they use as weapons, and their weaknesses and all that, you know what I'm saying. So, like the longer you play each game, the more enemies will show up in the bestiary, you know what I'm saying. As far as the graphics and design of Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls, they're pretty good, you know what I'm saying. They're pretty excellent and all that, you know what I'm saying. I have really like no gripes with the like the graphics and the design and stuff. As far as the gameplay, you know what I'm saying, it's it's pretty typical of the turn-based RPGs, but I don't have no outright gripes against it. You know what I'm saying? You just pick what weapon or spell you want to use, then watch them work. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't have no like really major gripes outside of the fact that they do miss occasionally, which is relatively minor in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? As far as the soundtrack is concerned, I like it. You know what I'm saying? Especially the music that plays after you defeat a particular enemy or enemies that that you encounter. And one thing that I will mention, which is another staple of RPGs, are the random attacks. You know what I'm saying? And expect the random attacks to happen a lot. You know what I'm saying? This is like one of the reasons why RPGs are rather lengthy. You know what I'm saying? This includes Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not a fan of like RPGs and stuff like that, it's gonna I was the best way to put it. It might wear on your nerves if you're not a big time RPG fan, you know. So that would be really like the main gripe with Final Fantasy 1 and 2, Dawn of Souls. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls is a pretty excellent game. You know what I'm saying? And I would recommend it to anybody who owns a Game Boy Advance, who likes RPG games as a whole, and who is a fan of the Final Fantasy series. You know what I'm saying? With a score, I definitely give it a 10 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Because this is pretty excellent. You know what I'm saying? I do have to mention that it seems that it is somewhat of a remake because they did make some improvement with the graphics and soundtrack to both games in this compilation. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, if you like Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls, you can mention it in the comment section of the video. If you prefer either Final Fantasy 1 or 2 in this compilation, you can also mention that. You know what I'm saying? If you have gripes for either game, you can also mention that in the comment section. If you like this video, don't hesitate to click the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe. This is your boy Big Metro Fan 12 signing off.